You do believe at the end of the day, the Raiders will take Fernando Mendoza. It's not going to be one of those referendums on if they're ready for him or not. And we'll discuss down the road as to whether he will start week 1 of the 2026 regular season for Clint Kubiak. But you think this is the pick, Field?
Yeah, I think Fernando could probably go house hunting right now in Las Vegas if he were so inclined. The team can't speak to him about things like installing the playbook at this juncture of the pre-draft process. But I think between now and in April, we'll hear Clint Kubiak continue to say things like there's lots of work to do and we're still going through the process and all that. But I can't recall a draft probably since 2021 when Trevor Lawrence went first overall, when it was this obvious, this far out, who the number 1 pick in the draft would be. I'm not saying that teams weren't privately set on their certain guys at number 1. And even in 2024, when Caleb Williams was coming out, there were people that had grown to think that Jaden Daniels was the best prospect in that class after his Heisman Trophy and dominant season at LSU. So obviously Caleb did end up going first. And I think if we redid that draft right now, all 3 teams at the top would probably say they hope it goes exactly as it did in reality a couple of years ago. But this feels like, the draft begins with the New York Jets making their first of 2 first-round picks at number 2 overall.
Okay. And so you chose the Jets to choose the Ohio State Arvell Reese. That's who I'm seeing that pretty much. This is in Sharpie right now that it's 1-2, right? Like that's what we're looking at. It's a good
debate. I think it's a good debate here for the Jets between Arvell Reese and David Bailey because, if you're picking number 2, obviously you want to get a great player, no breaking news there. But I also think it's important that if you can find that cross section of great player at premium position, that really matters to me. Like I think there's a compelling case that Jeremiah Love, running back from Notre Dame, will have the highest grade amongst non-quarterbacks on a lot of teams' boards. The problem is, if you're picking second, you got a lot of work to do, and getting a running back is not the way to get this franchise back on track sooner rather than later. So we're talking about guys that either pass protect or players that impact the quarterback on the defensive side of the ball. So Arvell Reese from Ohio State, sort of like what we have seen in recent years with Abdul Carter and Micah Parsons, not to the same degree, but both of those guys were stand-up inside linebackers early in their college career, who became pass rushers later in their college career. Reese was on that same track at Ohio State. He moved more to a predominantly pass rush role this past season with some linebacker snaps as opposed to the inverse in prior years. And he was actually a backup at Ohio State because they have so many good players, obviously, on that defense. And the breakout was worth it for him. He became one of the best players in college football. I don't think this is quite the same level of pass rush prospect right now as we saw from Abdul Carter a year ago, but has great athleticism, has all the measurables, has some production, high upside here. So if you're the Jets, you have the next 2 years with 5 first-round picks. As many high upside players you can get into the mix will help this thing turn around. They obviously have a lot of work to do, Rich. You know that. But at this point for the Jets, I'm not saying this is not aiming for a ground rule double, but I don't think there is a lot of bust potential here with Arvell Reese. I think this is going to be at the very minimum a very solid pro with potentially an excellent pro career ahead of him.
Hey, you made it all the way to the end. Thanks for that. Check us out every single day streaming live on Disney Plus and the ESPN app 12 to 3 Eastern.